So using x, y, and z, find the value of sine of a. What's the ratio for sine of a using x, y, and z? Let's start us off. 14. Y over z. Opposite over hypotenuse. Here's a challenge to you and your group or by yourself. Find me another function, sine, cosine, tangent, with an angle that also has a ratio of y over z. Find me something else that has a ratio of y over z right now. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Find me something else that has a ratio of y over z. So another sine, a cosine, a tangent. What else has a ratio of y over z? And what did you guys find? What did you find there? 19? Cosine of, what did you say, Ryan? C. Yep. So are we all in agreement that the sine of angle A is equal to the cosine of angle C? All in agreement now, because it's both y over z. Here's what I need now. Tell me something about angle A and angle C. What is their relationship between A and C right now? I want it, it's very basic. Don't try to get out of control. They're not congruent. What is the relationship between angle A and angle C? They should be add up to what? Everyone agree they add up. If that's a right, if angle B is a right angle and there's 180 degrees, C and A must add to 90, which we call complementary. Yes. And that's what we're going to go today is if you ever want sine and cosine to be equal to each other, their angles have to be complementary. Don't write this down. Just Zach, give me an acute angle. Yes. 35. Can anybody find anything else that you think would be equal to cosine of 35? Look at what we just did here. Should be sine of, check it out. Take your calculators right now. Cosine of 35, sine of 55. Look at that. They're equal. Every time, just as long as your angles are what? Complementary. Let's try this again. Andrew, give me another acute angle. Predictions what the sine of 32 will be equal to. It'll be equal to the cosine of 50, 58. Okay, just checking. Just checking. Okay. Good, as long as they're complementary. Now I just want to show you, in general, here's what we just found. The cosine of any angle, let's pick a variable, x will always be equal to what? Sine of, how do we find the other angle? We do 90 minus the given angle, x. Yep. And we could revert, hey, we could also switch sine and cosine too. All right, here's my favorite part about today. Sine and cosine actually have a name for this relationship. It's called, if you look at the top of your page, sine and cosine are called cofunctions. Watch this magic. Ready? How do you say that? Fully? How do you say it fully? One more time. Cosine, right? Sine. Cosine, right? Co-functions, all right? I don't know if you're think that's neat at all? If not, I'll just drop it. All right. Okay. But cosines, cofunctions. All right. Okay. So let's use it. Cosine of 20. What's its cofunction? Sine. And when are they equal? If the angles are complementary. All right. Sine of 37. Cosine of, what's the complement of 37? 53. Okay. Sine, just so you know, and I'm just telling you because you're in honors level here, sine and cosine are the only cofunctions you are responsible for. There are other cofunctions out there. Which one of the three have we not talked about? Okay. Tangent and, how do you think that one's pronounced? Cotangent. Okay. We've never talked about this because this is a next year topic, but how do you find tangent? It's what ratio? Opposite over adjacent. Cotangent? Adjacent over opposite. Okay, but that's next year. But these are also cofunctions. All right, their angles add to 90 when they're equal. So just throwing that out there to you. There's other pairs other than sine and cosine. All right, solving equations now. X is an angle, x plus 20 is an angle, and they're both acute. All right, they're both acute. Look at what we know. Sine and cosine are equal. Here's what I see right away from you guys. Oh, no. Oh, I see they're equal, so I'll set everything equal to each other. You just blew up everything we talked about. When are sine and cosine equal? When their angles are what? Add to 90, yes. Tomorrow's going to be bad, I know it. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and there's not going to be any voice left. And I'm just going to get ridiculed all day, which is fine. You guys are taking a quiz, so I don't need to say anything. But everyone see that? Sine and cosine, when they're equal, their angles add to 90. So what is the equation I can solve? X plus the other angle, x plus 20 equals 90. Don't set them equal. They got to be complementary for sine and cosine to be equal. So x equals 35. Questions? Okay, the directions here on number 4 may stump you. Express cosine of 83 as a function. When what I mean by function is, hey, sine, cosine, tangent. With an angle who's less than 45. So cosine of 83, what's equivalent to it? It would be sine, yep, there's the function you need, sine of 7, because they got to be complementary, and there's your angle less than 45. So that's what I was asked. Is there anything I can ask? Because you're going to have to buckle up for number 5. There's a lot that goes into number 5. Doesn't look like much. Ready? X, again, acute angle. And we know that the sine of x plus 15 equals cosine of 45. Find the exact value. Let me just talk about exact value. I don't want this. I don't want this. All right. Exact value means keep it as a fraction or radicals. All right. I do not want sloppy decimal from your calculator. So when we get to that point and you guys start punching numbers in your calculator and you get a sloppy decimal, I don't want it. All right. I don't want it. All right. So let's get to that point. Sine, cosine are equal. What do I know about x plus 15 and 45? They're not equal. They're complementary. So here we go. Let's solve for x first. So x plus 15 plus 45 equals 90. Go ahead and solve for x. Bella, go ahead.
If they're complementary, then why does it say they're equal there? Why does it?
The values are equal.
Okay.
Watch, ready? Their values are equal.
Oh.
But these are complementary.
Okay.
They don't have to be equal. See what I mean? Difference? Okay, good question. And what are we coming up with for the value of x? 30, okay. What do we need to find the value of? Sine of. We need to find what sine of. Well, what did we just find for x? Okay, plug it in, plug it in. What are we looking for? The sine of. Okay, here's the point right now. Go ahead, go to your calc. Sure, let's go. 1 to 45. We just talked. I don't want that. Oh, maybe it'll turn back into a fraction for me. Oop, nope, sorry. So I need your help turning this into a fraction radical combination of both. Seen that number before? Alyssa? Do you know how to find sine? What's the sine ratio? Opposite over? If you're dealing with a? Can I make a right triangle that's got 45 in it? Darn right. What type of triangle is it? 45? Can you guys fill out the sides like it's your chart? What's across from the 45s? Oh. What's on the hypotenuse? What's the sine ratio again? Right? Opposite over hypotenuse. Go ahead, pick any 45 right now. What's opposite? Pick any 45 up there. X. And what's the hypotenuse? Okay, algebra kids. Anything I can reduce? I can reduce the. Okay, what's left? Ooh. I'll wait. Cannot have what there, Bella? You're darn right you can't have a radical in the denominator. How do I adjust it? What do I have on top? Radical 2 over. What is that? Okay. Did I know it's a little complicated, but right, really, did we do anything we don't know how to do? 45, 45, 90, we know the rules. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, opposite x over hypotenuse x radical 2. Maybe the algebra was a little off, but throw the x's out of there, 1 over radical 2, get the radical on the denominator. All right. Questions, comments? Yes, Holly. The only other thing I would ask is 3060. I wouldn't ask any other degree because you guys don't know the rules. Either do I. Okay, so I would only ask 45. This should only turn out to be 45, 3060, and this can be sine, cosine, or tangent. Okay. Anything else? Whew. And then 6, and then you guys can get going and finish the homework. r plus t equals 90. I got it. What's the cosine of r equal to? We obviously know it's sine, right? That doesn't help us though. If they're going to be equal to each other, what do you have to know about the angles? They have to be complementary. Do we know anything that's complementary to angle R? Angle. Aren't they complementary? That's what was given to us. I know some of you wanted to pick this one. But if you look back at the beginning of today, cosine of x equals 90 minus x. So this would have had to been what? Cosine of r equals 90 minus r. Okay, not t. It would be 90 minus r if I wanted to choose that one. All right. So that's why I sign a t, because they're complementary. Questions, comments? Okay, last thing I want to talk to you about, and that's from the homework, so you don't get freaked out. You guys have what, 17 is one of the problems tonight? Okay, I don't want you to get freaked out by this symbol here. It's not a 0. We have talked about it very, very briefly. That's a theta. It's a variable. So if you don't like the way that looks, put an X in there instead. Put a Y, put a Z, put a C. I don't care. All right, but it's not a 0. This is not cosine 20. All right, it's cosine theta equals cosine 2 theta. All right, so treat it like a variable. Treat it like a variable. All right, rest of the time is yours. If you need any help, call me over.